Now, talk about this topic and what's the future holds. Now, as you guys know a lot, with YouTube nowadays, will delete a lot of content with hate speech. Now, the thing about me making this video is I've recently has went through this type of it's related to this topic, but I'll talk about it towards the end and have a better understanding where are we at the moment. All right. Now, those who go to university or those who gone out of university or those, I would say probably like a last generation or two, or last generation, I'll probably like, so I'm 29 years old, probably my generation, all right? We live in a society, there's a lot of political correctness and, we learn a lot about work and health and safety. We learn a lot about, what are the things, they taught us the way that what we're supposed to do, professionalism and, you have your rights. You can go to the Department of Fair Work dismissals and things like that, right? As we engage with social justice and fight for the minority or fight for the voiceless people or overfight the corruption and telling the truth. And that's what our education department, especially nowadays, is a lot more heavier, especially with what's going on with diversity and things like that. But now, you got the snowflakes generation, unfortunately. We fight for right, do what's right, speak up, whistle blow, and things like that. It sounds all good, like superhero power, like you're doing the right thing. But in the work world, it is completely opposite. It's no longer a fancy land at all. And many of us who has learned or brought up in that sort of setting will bring the exact same thing in the workplace. Now, in the workplace, there's no such thing as black and white. In the education system, it was everything black and white. Every organization or every company you work in has different laws or different protocols. Let's just put it that way. Now, I've got in trouble and my mentor told me I'm such an idiot for doing this sort of stuff. And I honestly thought I was doing the absolute right thing, right? Because I've learned too much social justice. I've learned too much, all about this sort of area. Right? I try my best to learn as much as I can, correctness as being a male, shut my mouth and things like that. But who would have thought I did not use any common sense regards to professionalism at work? Now, my job is working with aged care, right? You do write progress notes if there's changes or what the complaints or things like that. I wasn't aware what's the organization protocol, and I've written down word by word because it's a legal document, right? Whatever what the residents or customer says, you write it word by word. In the back of your mind, you're doing the right thing. And one thing that I didn't learn is, I should have learned it, but I didn't use it, is not to mention co-worker's name. Now, see, this sort of stuff you'll never be learned in university or education. But I did not know what to write. I cannot just say staff name. I cannot just write a carer or nurses, because he's a manager. So the resident was complaint term manager. I did not know what to write, because if I write managers, that means all the managers up there was like saying, what the heck? Which manager are you talking about? So I'll be directly, and I wish that I've learned it. I nearly lost my job because I've written this sort of stuff, and this sort of stuff, it shouldn't be written in the legal document, because it looks really bad for the managers to go through. And yeah, that's the story, and that's the main reason why I make this video. And I believe that many of us, it's not we don't use much of our common sense because we're so we're so brain banged with our assessments, essays, presentation, trying to get, pass mark or distinction or high distinction, or credit score, like you don't use your common sense in the work field. And unfortunately, me sharing this story to you guys make you understand that what you learn is what not it's not 100% what you do in the work field. And there's consequences. Obviously, the political correctness and the gender and all this area is the most important thing that you do not speak freely about. You do not, you leave that sort of stuff. If you want to talk about it, leave this sort of stuff in your own time. Don't ever bother talk about it in the workforce. Like I said, I honestly thought I was doing the right thing. I honestly thought I was doing social justice for my resident, but turns out it backfired me. Apparently, there's protocols. You have to email the managers regards to what the customer complaints or things like that. So yeah, you have that. Then I like to mention names. That's one thing that I've learned, and I think the upcoming generations, we're not going to be taught about this because even though it is common sense, but we are too fixation on what we've learned. And I'm glad that my workplace keeps me in saying that they should have did some training before I started writing this sort of documentation. Nobody taught me, so yeah. But yeah, I guess this sort of topic, it's a long way to go. So yeah,